Ready? Are we ready? Are you been recording this whole time?
Go.
This whole time, okay. All right, here we go. Welcome to Whiskey One, the channel for the novice, the curious, and the connoisseur. I'm Whiskey One, and we have our good friend John K, guest appearance. And today, we are gonna do a video called 3 Blind Whiskeys. So stick around. Whiskey fan, thanks for joining us here today. We're gonna do a little something different for you guys. So John K likes to show up, bring out some special whiskeys from time to time, and he likes to test me. He likes to see whether I can pick out the category of whiskey, proof, if I can pick out the actual bottle, and every now and then I do okay. I do okay.
He's done more than okay. He was only wrong once, and even then he was halfway right, so.
I peaked every single time. I'm kidding. So today is, of course, the 3 Blind Whiskeys, but it's going to be part of our series that we're going to try to do for you guys called Is Your Palate Gold or Is It Trash? So here we are. He provided me 3 samples. They're the same. And he labeled them ABC, so I don't really know what we're in for other than the smell. By the way, it smells like a Krispy Kreme in here right now, and I love me some Krispy Kreme. I poured them blind so that he wouldn't know which one is in which glass. So it's sort of a double blind. Yes. I don't know what whiskey, and he doesn't know the whiskey order, so when he tastes it, he's going in blind too.
Yeah, it should be a single blind for me, double blind for Israel, because he has no idea what's in these glasses.
So cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
So today I'm going to be trying to pick out the category, the proof, and if I can figure out the actual brand or distillery that makes this stuff, that'll be a plus. And then I guess bonus points if I can actually figure out exactly what I'm sipping on. All right,
Yep.
Cheers. Cheers.
Yep.
Go for the nose here. Dear goodness, man, this is a vanilla bomb. I'm not kidding. I'm gonna go back to Krispy Kreme. This is like a Krispy Kreme bomb.
Yep.
Lots of caramel. Lots of caramel.
Sweet oak.
There's twinges of spice. It's not like super spicy or nothing like that.
I got a little floral.
A little black tea.
Yes.
Black tea, some of those baking spices, like very subtle cinnamon, clove, very subtle clove though. It's got a good amount of earthiness to it, a little leather, subtle leather, but vanilla forward, if anything, vanilla and caramel. They've been sitting here for about a good 10 minutes now. So they've had a little time to settle down, breathe a little bit. That's a bourbon. That's my guess. This one right here is a bourbon. So let's go to number 2. This is bourbon too. This is bourbon. I want to say, just based on the smells, like I have a feeling these are all 3 bourbons, but I haven't gotten into this guy yet. This is also vanilla forward, just less than this guy. Less caramel too. It feels like it's got a little bit of high rye in this mash bill. Okay. Very subtle,
a little more citrus, a little like grapefruit on it.
Yep. Less than this one had. I feel like this one was very balanced on the nose. But this one has more rye in that mash bill. I still feel like this is a bourbon. This is not a rye. It's not a single malt or anything like that. It's not a Scotch. Very obvious it's not a Scotch or even an Irish. This one's gonna be tough. I feel like this mash bill may be Buffalo Trace. It may be Buffalo Trace mash bill. It feels like a Buffalo Trace product. But yeah, it's got a little bit more citrus and floral spice.
Yep.
Yeah. I could be off. Again, I don't want to like settle on my prediction here, but it feels like a Buffalo Trace product. And just a slight amount of like cigar tobacco.
Yeah.
Less black tea. This one has more black tea. More earthy. I'm ready to go to number 3.
Okay.
So, here we go. Dude, this is totally different. This is feeling very different from these two. These two are very fun. I could spend all day nosing this. This one feels a little sour.
It's definitely got a lot more funk on it.
It's got some funk, yeah. Oh, hold on.
But it's a lot of sweetness buried down there too.
Yeah, buried.
Yeah, you gotta get that like first top layer.
Yep. It's in there. Don't get me wrong, but this feels more like sourdough bread.
And I'm getting like applesauce that's almost ready to turn into booze.
Yeah, right.
Fermented applesauce. Yeah.
Something tells me that this is also a bourbon, but a very youthful bourbon. Like this hasn't had enough time in the barrel. This feels young. I'm put off. I'll just say, like, these two are amazing. This one's my favorite so far. This is second favorite, and this is less fave, less right. I don't know. This almost feels like it's got a good amount of ginger and soda. When's the last time you had a sarsaparilla, by the way?
A legitimate sarsaparilla? I mean...
Not the bowling alley sarsaparilla.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had like a legitimate one. Yeah.
Greek yogurt? That's what comes to mind here.
Oh, yeah.
It's nutty. It's not bad. It's just... You know, it's hard to start with something as good as a Krispy Kreme donut and then go to this, where it's like, okay, now we're getting into that unsweetened Greek yogurt. Yeah, let's go into our tasting round. So here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Dude, this is a lovely nose. Can we just spend another 10 minutes just nosing it? I'm kidding.
Like a hot red apple.
That's delicious.
A little bit like the tamale.
Yeah.
Like the hot tamale candies.
I don't know what you do to me, John. But I like it. I like it a lot. Wow, that is delicious. So the finish lingers, lasts a really long time. I mean, I took this. I had to take a second sip just because of how good it was.
Yeah, but the linger was still there.
The linger is there and it's building up. That one's very good, but definitely a bourbon, high proof. And I want to say it's a Kentucky straight bourbon. This feels Kentucky. It's screaming Kentucky. All right, so here we go. Cheers. Good. This is good. This is tasty. I immediately get the difference between this one and this one. And I feel like this is also a Kentucky straight bourbon, but this feels very, very similar to Buffalo Trace. I feel like this is a Buffalo Trace product. It could be Buffalo Trace. Feels like a Buffalo Trace product. And if it's not, I would guess that this is an Elijah Craig. It just feels like a Kentucky straight bourbon and something that I'm very familiar with. What about you?
I certainly like this one a lot more. This one's really good. It's more subtle. I get a lot more like a breadiness, almost like a graham cracker flavor to it.
Okay.
It's not as fruity. This one's a lot more fruity. This one's a little more bready. And this one's got a little more funk on the palate than it does on the nose.
Yeah, right. More baking spice.
Yeah.
A lot more baking spice. All right, cheers on this third one.
Cheers. I actually like the nose of this one a lot. It is very different than these other two. It is more funky, but I still do appreciate. It's very different after you're going from one to this. But
Okay. Yeah. Holy cow. Okay. So I almost feel like this is a finished whiskey. It started out as a bourbon, but I don't think this is a rye. Hands down, not a rye. Take one more sip and then maybe try to guess here. That sourness, that bitterness goes away. I can't put my finger on what would cause this funk other than, I want to say a couple of things do this. Cognac will give you a little funk. Wine, a certain kind of wine will give you funk too. Like a port can kind of give you that funk. A Chardonnay can give you this funk. That's what I feel like the funk is coming from. But this is a bourbon. Very, very, very approachable. I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is. It doesn't remind me of anything that I've tried. If I did try it, it was a while ago. So here's my synopsis. This is a premium bourbon, 60% alcohol or above. If this is not a George T. Stagg, it's a premium BTAC level type of whiskeys. I can't quite put my finger on the product because this literally could be anything that's premium. So middle, I want to say that this is Buffalo Trace, 40 to 50%. If it's higher than 50%, it's on the lower end. But this is also a Kentucky straight bourbon. But I want to guess, I'm on the fence, but it feels more like Buffalo Trace. It could be Elijah Craig because of the amount of spice and less black tea, more baking spice. But that's my guess on this. And then lastly, again, a finished bourbon. I have no idea like the brand or the distiller because this funk tastes so different than the prior two. It's almost like completely throwing me off. But proof-wise, I want to say 40 to 50%. So,
all right.
Are you
ready for the reveal?
I am ready for the reveal.
So the way we'll do is I'll pull out the bottles and I'm gonna show my guesses.
Okay.
By placing them where I think they landed on the table.
Okay.
Kentucky Owl last rye batch.
That's this guy?
Yep.
Oh, you think that's this guy?
Yes, I think the first one is Kentucky Owl.
Is this rye?
It's a rye,
Holy
10-year-old.
cow. Holy cow.
The last rye batch by Kentucky Owl.
Wow. Okay.
Number two,
I'm not off to a good start, by the way.
Is the Prideful Goat.
No
straight
way.
Rye whiskey.
Cast strength.
Cast
Okay.
strength also.
All right. So 0 for 2.
And number three, I believe, is Mitcher's straight rye 10-year.
Wow, that funk, man. That is some funk. Okay, so so I guess you guys could all say that my palate is trash. Every one of the, well, these two are a rye, and this is a what?
That's a rye also.
Oh, that's a rye.
This is the rye.
Okay.
They do have a bourbon, but this is their 6-year rye.
So when you guys see me, you can basically call me out and say that my palate is trash. I'm going to blame that on Golden Pride. That's right. I'm going to call you guys out. I had the Frontier Burrito, which is spicy. You know, I had a little extra green chili, so maybe that affected my palate. But this goes to show you that
absolutely, having spicy
you know,
lunch will cover up a lot of the spiciness you would get on the ryes.
All right, so it is time to do the big reveal. I have a sheet of paper that John gave me to let me know what was what. And starting with the first glass is A. First one is A. So let's see what you wrote down. A is the Kentucky Owl, 10-year. Okay. The B was the second one we tried. And B is actually Michter's Rye.
There we go.
Okay, I was going to say, that's an expensive bottle, too.
Yes.
That one is highly sought after. And there's no way that I was going to get that funk. I was thinking to myself, there's no way that would be the funky one.
Yep.
And it's also a 10-year, by the way.
Yep. No, this is a 6-year. This is MGP. This is Mitcher's. This is Bardstown.
Bardstown.
Bardstown's. You know, they don't quite reveal. It's like, you know, a secret contract, but that's what everyone believes.
MSRP. Let's talk MSRP.
Yeah.
So the Kentucky Owl is between $280, $320. Now, you got this for a lot less, right?
When I bought this, it was originally $270 at Total Wine, and I loved it so much. And I was 3 days later, I'm like, I talked myself up to it. I was like, this is great. I'm gonna bunker it because it's the last dry. It was the last one actually made by the man himself, and so I was like, I need to go get one. I go up to Total Wine. They had raised the price up to like $320, $340, and I was like, oh. Like,
yeah.
Okay, you know, I'm like, I get it. Like, it's not that much money difference when you're already talking about like $270. But you know, it's kind of like the concept of it for me. Like, I don't need it. I got enough.
Yeah.
And it pushed it over that $300 mark, and it was like, okay.
This next one, the Michter's Rye, the 10-year single barrel, $185 is what you got it for.
Yes.
And I think you wrote here, if you try to buy it now, between $260 to $399.
Yep.
It's rare. It's the allocated stuff, and even then, I usually see it sold for a lot higher than it probably should be at retail. I've never had the Prideful Goat. I did ping it for a low proof, something between 40 and 50%. And wouldn't you know it, it is 57.5% ABV. Now, speaking of the Prideful Goat, a 6-year MSRP under $60.
Yep,
Which
just available now locally.
good price.
Yep, batch 4 is what I saw locally.
So what would you say, man? My palate is trash or gold at this point?
I wouldn't call it full trash, but it's not gold either.
Not today.
Certainly somewhere stuck in the middle.
I think he's just being generous.
Yes, I'm trying to be nice.
But I will hear the comments. I will definitely hear the comments below. Which reminds me, if you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. This is a new video that we've decided to throw out and won't be the last of this caliber style video. I had a lot of fun, and like I said, John usually comes over just to test the palate, and usually I do a lot better than I did today.
He usually does. I'm really kind of surprised that I threw him for such a loop for these. But, you know, he's never had this and he's never had this. These are all ryes, unfortunately.
Michter's does taste, the rye does taste close to the bourbon.
Yep.
In all fairness, I'm just going to kind of like give myself a little leeway because Michter's is very sweet and buttery, really. All right, so that's that. Again, thanks for showing up and checking us out. You can get the Whiskey One shirts. Just message us, hit me up. You know how to get a hold of me. Drop a comment if you're interested. That is a nice shirt.
It is nice. I really like it.
It looks glorious, yeah. I think. You know. But thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate all the support and the love. This is my favorite. The guy on the far right is my favorite anyway, the Kentucky Owl.
No, it's my favorite also.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't regret paying the money I paid for it, and I still highly considered paying the money for it again. It's delicious.
I'm going to stop by a lot more often at John's house, by the way.
Yeah,
you know,
it makes me buy another one.
That's right. Thanks, guys, for stopping. Once again, don't forget, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.
Shut up and sit down.
I know what these are. John's not fooling me. Just kidding.